Dude, that movie sucked.
The horror genre is home to a number of meticulously made classics. From the black and white Universal monster movies of the 30s, to the contemporary social thrillers directed by Jordan Peele, there are plenty of good horror titles out there. Sadly, you'll find none of them here. Hello, welcome to Round the Clock Frights. I'm your host Joshua, a lifelong horror fanatic. Today, we're going to be talking about the absolute worst horror films of the past 10 years. From the downright terrible to the also downright terrible, these are the worst pieces of crap to be pooped out of Hollywood's butthole in recent years. Let's get started. Number 10, Ouija. Game off for this bland by-the-numbers ghost story produced by none other than Michael Bay. Featuring a cast of wooden Calvin Klein models who cannot act to save their goddamn lives, Ouija is an adaptation of the Hasbro board game of the same name. Yeah, so basically what happened here is that Platinum Dooms took a somewhat popular item and threw together a terribly written, utterly predictable film in the hopes of earning a quick buck. If I had anything nice to say about this movie, it would be that the opening scene where a young girl hangs herself with Christmas lights was slightly amusing. Other than that, Ouija is yet another example of dumb teenagers coming together to stop evil spirits and you know the rest. Want a better similar film? Easy. Go with a superior sequel released in 2016. Number 9, See, I'm already laughing. The Bye-Bye Man. Whoever thought that such a cheesy name as The Bye-Bye Man was an effective title for a horror movie should leave the film industry immediately. But I will say this, The Bye-Bye Man was one of the most hilariously fun times I had sitting through a horror movie in years. Numerous unintentionally hysterical sequences plague this film, such as the bit where a girl hallucinates a hunky shirtless dude in the kitchen, and of course, the image of the Bye-Bye Man himself. The so-called origin story of this horror villain makes zero sense. Something to do with a train and some coins? Also, the direction in this flaming piece of garbage is just clumsy, with many sequences being awkwardly shot and staged. The opening scene alone, which tries to be audacious with an overlong tracking shot, is an example of how horribly misguided they were when directing this dreck. It is funny that actor Douglas Smith, who also starred in Ouija, shows up again here. Want a better similar film? Go with the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 8, Shark Night. If I had a nickel for every shark movie to be released in the past few decades, I'd be wealthy enough to buy the entire freaking planet. This one, though, is especially ludicrous. It features a setup we've seen in a billion other horror films, where a group of one-note, unlikable teens go out into the wilderness to spend a fun weekend partying it up. But some local rednecks are secretly letting loose sharks into the lake to, get this, record them eating people for their internet show. This film is so stupid, and annoying, and cliche, and just irritating. Hey, at least we got Sarah Paxton, a rather good young actress in this movie. Want a better similar film? Just go with the one that started this whole killer shark craze, Jaws. Number 7, Piranha Double D. I made a joke like this in another video, but I'll say it again here. This film should have been called Piranha Double Dookie, because not only is this an inferior sequel to a decent film, it comes off as an exceedingly cheap TV movie of the week. The first Piranha was an incredibly cartoonish, over-the-top gore fest with boobs and butts galore, but there was still some craftsmanship involved, and not all the characters were insufferable idiots like the ones in Piranha Double D. This movie goes way too far in the crazy department, with one female character getting a piranha up her, and another character gets his dick chopped off for no explicable reason. It's just too much. Throw in some truly terrible cinematography. Seriously, at least the first film had some nice scenic shots and kinetic camera work. And you have a film that should have remained dead in the water. Want a better similar film? As stated earlier, try this film's predecessor. Number 6, Truth or Dare. In recent years, we've gotten a fair number of studio horror movies based off novelty activities like Truth or Dare. Heck, just this year alone, we're getting a film called Ready or Not, based off the ever-popular game Hide and Seek. There was also Escape Room. Well, Truth or Dare is, at least so far, the worst out of all of them. Not only is the concept laughable, it's clear that the writers cared less about their characters and more about the gimmick. The characters here are young and dumb. They bring this curse on themselves by behaving like a bunch of drunken idiots. The ending follows the stupid trope of having a character upload a supposedly shocking video on the internet that will apparently affect everyone on the planet Earth. Seriously, if a video like this were uploaded, would people really care? They would probably just shrug it off. Such a stupid ending to a stupid film. Want a better similar film? I'm gonna go with the first Final Destination. Number 5, The Final Destination. Speaking of Final Destination, here we have the absolute worst entry in this series. Yes, in previous installments, the elaborate death scenes were a bit cartoonish and silly, but most of the other films in the Final Destination franchise still had sinister vibes to them. This one in particular is almost impossible to be taken seriously. Almost every death scene in this is treated like a joke, and after a while, it just really got under my skin. The whole film is just an excuse to have a band of annoying, underdeveloped teens meet grisly demises. Some of the CGI also looks incredibly cheap. Seriously, at times, I thought I was watching the latest Sharknado sequel. Want a better similar film? Literally any other Final Destination. Number 4, Slender Man. This miserable film was the subject of so much controversy that the quote-unquote artists involved were forced to cut out numerous sequences. No, seriously, watch the original trailer. Almost nothing from that trailer is in the damn movie. What we're left with is a shockingly dull, lifeless cash grab of a film. Despite featuring a couple of effective shots of the titular Slender Man and a suitably creepy Jacob's Ladder style sequence inside a hospital, Slender Man is a big nothing of a movie. The teen characters here are especially idiotic, making the most bizarre, nonsensical decisions I've seen in a horror narrative. In one scene, a girl is told to cover her eyes in an attempt to block out Slender Man, and of course 1 second later, she does the exact opposite. The screenwriting is also very out of touch and dated. These are modern teens, what the hell would they be doing researching Slender Man inside a library? Overall, this is a jumbled mess of a movie that feels as if it is missing at least 20 minutes of footage. Want a better similar film? Try the Ring remake, directed by Gore Verbinski. Or hell, the original Japanese film Ringu. Both are much better movies. Number 3, Rings. Speaking of The Ring, let's talk about Rings, the instantly forgettable 2017 sequel. Wow, I actually remember so little about this movie, I'm having a hard time talking about it. I remember the opening sequence set inside a plane, which in and of itself is a blatant ripoff of the first Final Destination. I remember Jonathan Galecki, the dude from The Big Bang Theory. Man, this film left my mind so quickly. I suppose if I had anything nice to say about it, I will admit the idea of these kids sharing the death-bringing Ring video on their computers is kind of clever, but that's about it. Again, just watch The Ring. For goodness sake. Number 2, The Human Centipede. Tom Six, the prestigious director of this dumpster fire, admitted that his sole reason for making this film was just to shock people. When that is your only motivation for making a movie, you should seriously rethink your career as a filmmaker. Well, this movie comes across as something that exists merely to shock viewers. It takes an idea so outrageous and disgusting and doesn't really do anything with it. Honestly, what can you really do with a concept like this? When I initially saw the final transformation of these characters into the Human Centipede, I suppose I felt a bit uncomfortable. But the filmmaker clearly had no idea where to go after that. So all we get are several scenes in which these unfortunate individuals are struggling to live as this grotesque experiment. That's it. It gets old. Fast. If this were a comedy, it would be labeled as a one-joke idea. When watching The Human Centipede, you might feel as if someone is slowly sucking all the life out of you. It's the very definition of a miserable time at the movies. Want a better similar film? I would go with Reanimator, a fun B-movie featuring human experiments. So, what is the absolute worst horror movie of the past 10 years? the one that bestowed such unfathomable levels of pain and suffering upon me? Apologies to Rob Zombie fans. Number 1, Halloween 2. I've said this before and I'll say it again, I have nothing against Rob Zombie as a person or as a filmmaker. In fact, I respect how he's developed his own grungy grindhouse visual style. But Halloween 2 just encapsulates everything I hate about bad horror movies. The characters, all unlikable. The Laurie Strode in this movie is supposed to be a damaged PTSD-inflicted survivor, but she comes across more like a spoiled, rotten party girl. Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis is a mean celebrity wannabe. This film is also gruesome in ways that don't make the viewing experience any fun at all. I don't want to see Michael Myers eating the innards of a dead dog, Rob Zombie. Jesus Christ. There's much more to complain about, including and especially the stretched out dream sequence that makes up the start of the film, or the ugly, murky cinematography, but this film just angered me on a very personal level. I despise everything about it. For me, this is truly the worst horror film of the past 10 years. Congrats, Zombie! At least Blumhouse made Halloween decent again. Watch the 2018 film for a better sequel. Thank you so much for joining me in my discussion of the top 10 worst horror films of the past 10 years. Were there any I missed? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And be sure to subscribe to my channel Round the Clock Frights for more horrific content. Have a scary day, boils and ghouls.